We're
Yay.
step 10. Well, the recordings are. I know energetically and emotionally, it's kind of, we're all on a different track, but I had the, I don't know, I guess yesterday I was just really wanted to finish my, the Y12SR, the yoga 12 step training with Nikki Myers. I had like 4 or 5 videos left.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm gonna keep listening. And gosh, it was the best decision ever because it was exactly what I wanted to share today. It's really gonna be amazing for you guys. So she gives what the step 10 is. It's a personal inventory that you do every day. So like when you go to bed and you reflect on the day, there's a meditation that goes with it. And
Ooh.
I wish that I was on my computer so I could screen share, but it was being silly still. So I had to join with my phone, but I will email it to you guys after so you can see. But with step 10, here, let me read it to you guys. Usually I have all my books surrounding my desk, so then it's my organized hoard, but now they're all on their little shelf where they should be. I'm getting really excited about putting all this in one spot for you guys. As this is my time going through the steps, now I'm organizing and I've got a note going. So I'm keeping all the worksheets. I'm creating my own worksheets and the journaling questions, the essential oil rituals, breathing techniques, like the whole gamut. So like, what does a person do as they're moving through the emotions of each step? It's making me really happy. Okay, so there's the 10th step tradition. It's not quite what I wanted. Okay, step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So what she recommends, let me get this on my computer screen so I can read it to you, is that you ask yourself, so part of the, you're gonna play back your own movie. Like I've got my own movie, you've got your own movie. You're gonna play back the tape from the day, and you're gonna capture and review moments of your day, but it's done with a reverence, with an including of your higher power. Like ask your higher power, can you watch this with me now? Can you watch my movie with me for a few minutes? Invoke divine presence. See, feel, and express gratitude for the experiences, because all of them are lessons. And then you ask yourself if you gave anyone pain today. So that means if you, you had to get gas, say you were out of town and you're on the road and you stop to get gas, and maybe you inadvertently said something rude to the gas attendant. So how could you go say sorry to that person? Because you probably, even if you backtracked on your road trip and you found the right schedule of when that person was working, there's going to be times in our life when we do something that we wish we could say sorry for, but we won't have that opportunity necessarily. So I'll explain what you would do in that instance. So if you gave somebody pain today, if so, feel their pain, bring the image of the person before you, and ask for their forgiveness. So maybe switch roles with them in your movie and keep your higher power with you, like you're watching it. It might be like kind of like when you die, right? Isn't it? Don't people say that when you die and you go through the feelings of, maybe what the pain that you've given other people in your life. I'm trying to remember the name of that book that I read. It was about a guy that it was in the 1970s, and he was this like total a-hole. If I remember his name, I bet you've read it, Lisa. He was in the 70s, and he was like a car mechanic in the South. And he was kind of known as like a bro in town. Like he was a ladies' man, like no respect for anybody. And one day he's on the phone with a friend. I guess he still had friends, and a lightning bolt hit the pole, the phone line pole right outside his house. It instantly kills him. And I guess he had a lady friend in the house, and she had just finished CPR training like the week before. So she runs up the stairs. She's keeping him alive as the guy on the phone knew something was wrong and is driving over. And he sees himself above his body, and he's watching this all go down, like them trying to keep him alive. He's hovering over the ambulance inside the hospital, and he's dead on arrival. But he sees himself dead on arrival. They toe tag him. He's in the morgue. He's in the hallway outside the morgue with a sheet over him and a toe tag for over an hour. They're just too busy to put him in one of the things. So he wakes up, and he blows on the sheet to make somebody notice him because he's paralyzed. So he doesn't know how long this went on, but then they notice, oh, he's alive. And it was actually this beautiful experience for him of 2 years of being bedridden and completely paralyzed. His parents had to come and take care of him. But every night, well, I forgot to say, but during that experience, he got to go and feel all of his feelings and all the things he did wrong to other people. He felt the pain that he caused all the people. And he got to walk around in whatever his version of heaven was. He got to feel divine love. And he was also offered an opportunity into the Hall of Records. He was invited into the Hall of Records, like God's library. So this mechanic man who was never given any opportunity to go to college, didn't go to college, doesn't have any of that stuff. Now for 2 years, he's bedridden. And every night when he goes to sleep at night, he has access to God's library. So the man wakes up with knowledge of advanced biology. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Zoology. And it's just phenomenal because it's like, where would this information come from? This man who's bedridden. And anyway, he hooks up with Dr. Mooney, who at the time was like the guy for afterlife, death, like what's it called if you almost die? There's a word for it. If you just if you like died for 20 minutes, like that's for it. And people have spiritual experiences and then they share their experience. Dr. Mooney was the guy that he was the guy that wrote all this stuff down, and he did his research and made it a thing that there was spiritual connection in the afterlife, and people could prove it. Like the doubting Thomases were just so excited. I find it very comforting reading books like that as a slight doubting Thomas. And it makes me feel really safe that when I die, that there's a place for everybody. So that's in my belief system, obviously. But in this step 10, we are trading places and feeling that person's pain. They call it the art of experiencing. The art of experiencing is where we do not escape the feeling. We are analyzing the feeling, how our body reacts. And the fear behind that for most people like me as a recovering alcoholic, that I've run away from my feelings my whole life. And in our society, we've taught there's negative emotions and there's positive emotions. And I don't want to feel negative emotions because that makes, me a sad person or an angry person, or like, I don't want to be put in that category. Who's Adam? I'm not going to let Adam in. Sorry, Adam. I don't know you. So do you guys have any thoughts of what I'm sharing?
I guess there's hope that, just the story that you conveyed, that people don't have to be struck by lightning and almost die to realize that there is another way of approaching, you know, you don't have to go through such a huge trauma. It is there at your fingertips. You just have to be um, aware enough to access that possibility. It's interesting always when I hear stories like that, and people gaining insights and understanding of things that they never ever studied. That's always interesting to me, because all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have all this information. Where'd it come from?
I love that it's being connected to the right channel. And if we're not in the present and we're not available because our brain is like, we've put a tinfoil cap on, we're like, no channels. We have to be present in order to notice those things, and to get that. So I really believe that as we go through these steps and clean up whatever's going on that keeps us from being connected to our divine love and our higher power, so that we can just be joyous, happy, and free. That's the way we're supposed to be. We have a reason to be here. So let me see the other thing she said. So you feel the other person's feelings. So if you're like, wow, that hurts a lot and it's really hard to stay in this feeling, write down in your journal what you physically feel in your body. Like I say, like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so ashamed, or I'm feeling so sad, or I'm feeling very hurt. How do you know you're feeling hurt? Where do you feel it in your body? Oh, I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my sternum. It feels tight. If you describe the physical sensations, now you can kind of step back and be in that third party, like an analyzing. How is my animal body reacting to this feeling? And that will help. It's the art of experiencing to be like, okay, well, I felt it. Now just let it go on the next wave. Let it go out into the ocean, and the salt will clean it as it comes back to me. We're living in this wave of emotions. Don't let it just stay in a stagnant pool with amoeba. Okay. And then she says after that, ask yourself if you feel pain from any interaction. So affirm, suffering is not the event, but in the perception around the event. Blaming or looking to change them or any other distraction will not eliminate the source of pain. And then it says, stay with it, the art of experiencing. So like yesterday, I made brownies last night at like 10:30 at night because we don't have air conditioning here. It's fine. But so we're just kind of staying up later because it's just how it is here. We're staying in the pool until like 10 or 11. And then I didn't offer my oldest son a brownie because he has a friend over and he's in the other room. I didn't feel comfortable walking in there while they were playing video games, so I just didn't offer them a brownie. And my husband came and said, did you offer them any brownie? And no. And he kind of made this face like, and I interpreted that as, oh, you're not a very good mom. But that's not what he was doing. He just was pausing. And then as we were eating the brownies, my youngest son, I kind of zoned out because I do that, said, he asked me a question and I didn't answer correctly. It was like, obviously I wasn't listening. And my husband looked at me again and it was the same look. And I started to get angry inside because it's like, it's really late at night. Like I can't be present. It's hard. I'm eating a brownie. And I had to come and read this again. And it was, suffering is not in the event, but in the perception around the event. So my feelings were deep associated fears of the things I think he thinks about me. So it's not like it really happened or he said anything or, like, so I was able to be like, oh, it's not true. It's gone. So that was one experience that I could share that might be an example. And then the end of the inventory type, you're watching your movie thing with God, is bless all of those who have touched your life today. Bring to mind the images of all that have touched you today and bless them and give thanks. So I really like that. And I think I would do this in a journal before I got into bed. So last night I did a little bit of this and I rolled on my balls and I used my oils, because it's so hot in my house from the AC being broken. I'm using oils that are cooling. So I chose peppermint and I chose Aroma Touch because they're both super cooling. Aroma Touch has cypress and grapefruit and peppermint and all very cooling oils. So I put that all over my feet, all over my legs. I also took 2 ice packs to bed, like lunch pail ice pack box. I kept one by my feet and one by my neck. I think I could actually do that. I think I'd be fine. So I'm adapting. But I find that reading things like from Nikki Myers and going to meetings and having a friend to chat about the steps, journaling, using your oils, all these are really important tools. We wouldn't want to be learning or doing this stuff on our own. That is not like the way to do it, because then you're the lone wolf. You're alone, and that doesn't invite help from your higher power. And for a while because I started doing all this during the pandemic, I felt I had to do it all online. So that was actually a blessing, because I don't know if I would ever have gone to an in-person meeting in my town again. Because I feel that I'm too public of a person in my community. So it was really difficult for me to go attend a public meeting in humility. I would have felt like, oh my gosh, like I'll see somebody I know there. But now I don't care. But it's nice that it was all online, because it's everybody that is from all over the world, and I won't see them in real life. Anyway, but I'm open for feedback, or I'd love to hear any insight or how your weekend went. Hold on one second. I have to see my front door just opened and I have to make sure. Just 1 second. It was just my son.
Hi, you were asking about our weekend. Quiet down, guys.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I became you this weekend, and I did an emotions class, a face-to-face one. I did a face-to-face class. Since I'm moving to Atlanta, this was my last week here. So I just kind of reached out. I think I had told you I went to a real estate meeting last month, and I got 9, people that I gave samples to. So I invited those 9 people to my class and a couple other people. So one person from that class came and they brought a friend. My sister was there for support. One of my friends from church from Albany, New York came for support.
Wow.
And then a couple came from my church as well. And so I didn't do a doTERRA class Like I didn't, I'm going to launch my course in the fall called The Path to Peace. So it was more about that. But I did talk about the doTERRA oils, and they're very excited. I just feel like sometimes when I've done oil classes with my demographic, it seems like they don't rush and buy the oils even after getting a sample because there's so many layers of things. So we talked about breathing, taking 1 minute several times a day, and then based on the emotion they were needing the most support with, we just used the essential emotions and we gave them a sample of that oil. And so then I can follow up with them and go from there because they were interested in ordering, but I just know sometimes people don't know what they're doing and they just go to order and they never use the oils. So I really wanted to just give them an oil experience about breathing and just certain things that people deal with. And so now I can follow up. So that was exciting. So that was I actually did a event on Saturday also. It was the same event last month. So they gave me 10 minutes to do an activity and, so yeah, my weekend was like that. So I'm resting for the rest of the year. No, but that was my weekend.
That sounds amazing. I'm sure everyone got so much out of it. It's what we hope people will walk away, with.
Thank you so much. I got some very good feedback.
Well, of course you did. Like they're all like they love you. I'm sure they're probably just like giving you Eskimo kisses and hugging you, and
For sure.
it's how we take care of ourselves when we've been in the public eye. I know that after experiences like that in the past, I would kind of go, oh, and have to put a blanket over my head kind of feeling. So I hope that you didn't have to feel that.
No, they didn't want to leave. But it was great. Yeah, it was really good. Because I got a lot too. I got a lot too. Just like you, like, although you're leading, the sessions and having the classes, I'm sure you get things. So I felt that although I was leading the class, I got just as much as they did.
Yeah. I feel like that should be written too, huh? Like I have this book called I forget his name, Dr. Nelson. It's nonviolent communication, and the book that I have is on leading a group and all the activities that go with it. So it's kind of like a teacher's guide. So it shows the activities for the group, and then it also has the notes for the teacher. It makes me think that there should be the notes for the teacher for the type of work we do for leading. Like, now, remember that when everyone leaves and you feel like falling apart, it's okay, you can. Go take a bath immediately. These are the oils. So on this step 10 stuff, I'm feeling more and more that as we close doing these where I'm recording the steps in our Mondays, I'm feeling very called that as this ends for the 12 when we do the 12th step, that we'll do the yoga and the 12 step type meeting on Mondays. So it's going to be about like how we do with the oils and with sharing, and we'll do a little bit of yoga. And I'm also thinking that I want to start integrating some healthy emotional eating ideas. From that, I feel like that's the next step for people in recovery is we have to get a handle on concentrating on being present and not being pulled into everybody's story all the time. And once we've stopped doing that, with codependency and our substance addictions, if that's the case, like for me, because most alcoholics I see, they haven't got a handle on their eating yet. And it might be 10 years into their recovery. They're like, oh, I'll get to that eventually. Or I'm still smoking. And I'm like, that's not good. But the eating part feels important to me. That was my first experience with addiction was bulimia. And that was from the age from 11 to 17. So I went to 2 rehabs. I lived in an inpatient house for almost 3 months in Downey, California. And so I went through a lot of therapy, and I was put on a lot of medications. And that story is what brought me to natural health. I would not have found colonics. I would not have found raw food eating. I would not have found my whole community of women that huddled around me and brought me into the fold and said, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm grateful for my experience, but it feels like it's time to bring that into what the healing process. So I'm going to be sharing some recipe ideas and meal plans and the oils that go along with it. So I'm thinking oils, yoga, and food. Do you like that, Lisa?
Yeah, I'm kind of quiet today. I had a very long day yesterday, and I did a lot of work on other people, and it was wonderful because I got to be in a beautiful environment. And for some reason right now, beautiful environments are like, that's the only thing I won't, that's the only reason I'll work is if the environment's beautiful. And and I'm putting that, I would say I'm putting that ahead of everything else. And it's actually been beneficial for me. It's like, I don't want to be in a dark room anymore. I want to be in a room that has spaciousness and just like has that, even though, when you have a room like that, people always, they turn over and they're like, I need something to cover my eyes. It's because it's too much for them. So I'm realizing I have to like remedy that and get some face masks that I can change over. I think that will be helpful
Yeah.
and clean and tidy. So I'm pretty quiet today, and I'm going to have to do some talking tonight in another meeting that I have. So I'm just feeling right now. But I think what you're planning with is figuring out how to get people that are going through the 12-step program how to look at their food differently, because anything you put in your mouth is, it goes unchecked. Sometimes I come home from a long day and I just clean out my refrigerator. Just like, oh, this has been sitting here. This has been sitting here. And I'm like, is that really a good idea to eat all of those things at once? But, it is what it is. And I think the more you plan ahead, it helps a lot to have those things already available so that you don't have to go search it out or go buy junk food or any of that stuff. It's really important to try and do that.
Yeah, I'm excited about getting some of your thoughts around it. As I woke up this morning, I know that when we eat Ayurvedically and we're satisfying all of those tastes in each meal, the pungent and sour and sweet and salty, and what would the other ones be?
Astringent is one of the other ones. Sour, sweet, salty, astringent, bitter.
Bitter.
Astringent and bitter. And those are hard things for people to actually like insert into dietary. People always say, well, if it's bitter, it's not good for you. But it's like certain body types need that bitterness to stimulate digestion And that's why you need that bitterness. You don't need tons of it, but you need a little bit of it. And the astringent is one of those ones that can sort of clean off the tongue. My favorite version of astringent that's too astringent is when you eat a what are those orange fruits that come out in around October and Thanksgiving? They're
Oh, uh,
they're Fuji
the pear
there's
apple
different
pears.
kinds. There's a soft one and a hard one. And if you eat one of the soft one, what's the soft one called?
It's
It's
not.
like that's why I'm being quiet, because it's better for me not to talk right now. I can't remember things.
I know.
It's a fruit, but um if you eat it at the wrong time, your tongue gets this sensation of like, and that's like hyper astringent, because it feels like your tongue gets a coat on it when all it's supposed to do is just sort of clean the palate off. So
That would be neat to have a list of foods for each.
oh, Ayurveda has that. Definitely Ayurveda has that, because it gives you food charts for your doshas.
I want that food chart.
I will bring it the next time I come down.
But
Or I'll try and copy it and send it to you.
okay, because if we put normal-ish American foods on that list, so that way it's not, what is that?
What is that?
For us,
Good question.
it's the moon bar.
Well, and it's related to each dosha. And since people are combinations of the doshas, the elements, earth and water, fire, and then air and ether. Or some people categorize it as fire and ether, earth and water, and then air. And foods have those qualities.
Well, my thought around that is that when people eat those flavors at once, or several flavors, you feel much more satisfied, even if it's just a small amount of food. When
Mhm.
stick to one flavor palette, it's easy. Like with brownies, you could eat a lot of brownies, or mashed potatoes, you can eat a lot of mashed potatoes. But if we had a smaller plate with several tastes, then your body is naturally satiated. So I have this vision, and I feel like I'm an orator, so when I have an idea, I have to say it out loud. But appreciate you guys being witness and being here. And I love step 10, and I definitely want to start doing it in the way that Nikki Myers has outlined here. And I will send that to you both. I really loved how she did that. I wish that I could share it on my screen, but I need to figure out what's going on with my Zoom account. So anyway, it just feels really, really good. Just like I cleaned my office. I haven't cleaned my office in like a month because I've just been doing other things around the house and holding classes. And I was finally able to put everything away, and it just feels so good when you've cleaned something. So on a daily basis, having brought your higher power into your personal movie, replay your day, the art of experiencing the emotions, journaling how those emotions feel in your body so that you can let them go with the next tide, being more watery in your emotions. And I've been reading Carla McClellan's art, The Language of Emotions.
Mhm.
Highly recommend that woman's book library. She's got beautiful stuff on her website, lots of great classes coming up. And I also stumbled upon, it's called the Radical Self-Forgiveness Acceptance Worksheet. And it's not from Carla McClellan. It's Colin Tippins.
Hmm.
Tipping or Tippins. I'll also send that out to you guys. So I am categorizing and keeping all of these beautiful worksheets and putting it all in one place so that you will have it eventually, but I'll just send this to you in the meantime. But I really think that a lot of the stuff that I hold on to is things I'm mad at myself at. Why didn't I do it this way? Why didn't I do it that way? When I go to bed at night, I don't forgive myself. I forgive others much easier. So having this in my holistic toolkit and is going to be helpful. And I wanted to share it with you guys. So I will send you those two attachments. And
Thank you.
you're very welcome. So now let me stop recording real quick. Stop recording.
Do you have a lot of videos in your Zoom account?